Insights into sexism. Male status and performance moderates female-directed, hostile, and amicable behavior. You are likely sick of this. You have probably seen so many people look at this, but I promise you I'm going to take a slightly different angle on it. Unsurprisingly, the media jumped on the results of this to put up all sorts of articles like, "Sexist men who insult women are literally losers," and things like that. The very best thing I found though is a personal blog talking about it. Scientific proof that gamers are ridiculously sexist. They complain about how sexist gaming is, but I'm just going to skip to the key parts. There will be a link to the full thing in the video's description. There are a few studies that discuss the representation of women in most games and the consequences of these perceptions, but very little data on how different genders are treated by gamers. In this study, the author examined whether players respond differently to a male and female voice when in a multiplayer environment, data that is necessary and difficult to come by. The game they chose was Halo 3, a first-person shooter with a strong online multiplayer component. They had a single individual play all the multiplayer matches to control for gameplay, but used either a male or female voice with a control treatment that consisted of no voice. The voices were limited to a few key phrases that were non-inflammatory. They then measured the number of queries, positive and negative comments. In short, the authors found something appalling. The female voice received 3 times the negative comments than the male one, often being called a slut or whore. The female voice also received only 3/4 of the positive comments of the male voice. Even worse, the female voice received significantly more queries and friend requests. There is no question that men responded extremely negatively very rapidly when thinking they were playing against a female gamer. Granted, Halo is well known for its extremely aggressive players given the amount of homophobic slander in multiplayer matches, that Bungie decided to punish slanderous behavior online in Halo 4, but such behavior truly is disgusting. Although there is some evidence that things are changing ever so slowly, studies like this demonstrate just how bad it truly still is. And here's the study this blog is commenting on. Wait, this isn't that new study. This is a blog from 2013 about a 2012 study. By the way, this blog was written by one Michael Kasumovic, one of the authors of this new study. Now, to people not familiar with this, understand that connection is no surprise. Of course not. The paper he was talking about is a reference in the new one. It's used to say that in online environments, women receive more than 4 times the negative comments from men. In fact, beyond that, this study simply used video recordings from that study in 2013. That is where their data comes from, analyzing those videos. All fine and dandy, of course. I'm not trying to reveal anything. They say this openly. But guys, if you want to talk about bias, holy shit. Look at it like this. Michael Kasumovic decided to use videos from a study that he deemed scientific proof that gamers are ridiculously sexist. He decided to take what he found to be a uniquely appalling example and use that as the basis for his study on sexism in gaming. Let's look at the new study's Materials and Methods section. Video game used. In multiplayer first-person shooters like Halo 3, teams cooperate to kill members of the opposing team outside of a dedicated storyline such as that seen in a single-player campaign within the game. As a result, the multiplayer games can be argued to be direct competitions outside of any sexualized storyline or content, as they are only associated with the goal of eliminating opponents. Blah blah blah. As you can see, it just says what the game is like. And then it says, a secondary benefit of using Halo 3 is that players are covered head to toe with armor and identified by armor color rather than facial features or body type. Additionally, player-controlled avatars are not the hypersexualized males normally seen in many other video games, hopefully decreasing the overt sexism seen in most online competitive games and minimizing the effect of the game environment. Oh, beautiful. Sounds like a really good, sterile, neutral environment, doesn't it? They really paint it that way. But remind me, what was it that Michael Kasumovic said about Halo in 2013? Halo is well known for its extremely aggressive players, given the amount of homophobic slander in multiplayer matches. He also said back then that there is evidence that things were changing, and yet, for his study, he decided to use the same videos as with that old study. You know, the study done before things were, as he suggested, changing. You'd think it would be worth pointing out that the data you're collecting comes from videos of a game that you have said is known for extreme aggression and homophobia. Uniquely, he said Halo is known for that, but this year, painting a different picture obviously suits his intended outcome. Hey, I can't really blame him. He does seem extremely emotionally invested in this. Anything that could even vaguely be considered to relate to inequality seems to trigger him, to the point that he would compare usage of a hashtag to slavery. Here is a clip of him talking about women in the gaming industry on ABC's GGTV.
There are a lot of challenges I think that women face as a consequence of the gaming culture and a consequence of the coding culture. If men have a hard time accepting that women are outperforming them in something, they will ensure that the women don't have the opportunity to compete in that venue. And that's what you essentially see happening in Gamergate, for example. By now not allowing women to compete, you won't end up losing to them. As a consequence, it's harder for women to get into the culture because the culture is unfriendly. That it's not all the individuals that, of course, are being unfriendly. It's the ones that have the most to lose.
Hey look, it's our buddy Brianna Wu. Presumably one of the women he believes Gamergate, whatever that is, wants to force out because they do not want to compete with her. And I mean, look, he is an evolutionary biologist. This man is a scientist. Trust him. He is a reliable source. He would never let a friendly relationship with someone or conversations with them about how to change gamer culture influence his work or what he says when being used as a scientific source. I wonder what will cause sexism next week. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.